let me introduce to you our two best mans, Mr. Jack Treacher and Mr. Tom Treacher.
Hello. Oh, we going up, okay. Let's go. For boys, I thought I'd give you a bit of context to who me and Tom are. I know not all of you will know us. So firstly, I'm Jack. Matt, as he might have mentioned, has lived with me for about a year or so since he's been living in Southampton. He will tell you we were housemates. The reality of it is I was his landlord.
And I'm Tom. I was Matt's safe space for when he was falling out with his landlord. Me and Jack make up one half of the three Treacher brothers. The reason I say that is because their other brother is Josh, that mountain of a man over there. And I think it's fair to say he makes up the other half himself.
It was a great privilege that Matt has asked me and Tom to be Matt's best men. We know it's been a bit crazy, to say the least, for Matt and Izzy. We're moving into their new house, planning for this amazing wedding, and Matt's got a new job recently as well. So it's great that the day has finally come and we can now celebrate their marriage. Between me and Tom, and I think Matt might have referred to this, we've had a few arguments, a few jokes about who was first or second best man, so we can't be really equal, right? But actually, after time, we realised that, of course, we're really equal. Anyway, over to best man 2.
Thank you, Elton. With all that in mind, we thought Matt's probably, a bit sensitive, and probably best for us to be really encouraging, really supportive. Kind of share lovely stories about Matt. So we thought we'd better not share any, like embarrassing moments or comment on the more questionable things about Matt, of course.
So, one of the things we didn't want to mention, we didn't want to bring up, we thought we won't mention this at all, was Matt's dodgy farmer accent. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, you probably have just by the speech, to be honest. We didn't want to talk about it, so we thought we'd just quickly show you a video that we would have shown you if we had talked about it.
Welcome to our fan base. We at the moment got a bit of an issue. This is how you pour Shandy like an absolute rookie.
It's my camera, I was just telling you.
We just had our first race. That's this grasshopper. Basically, there you go, James. The seat's been shown. Shared? Shared. Tell you what, you just feel brilliant after a haircut, don't you? I feel like I can take over the world. So this geezer coach. Oh yeah.
What's your predictions?
Oh, obviously the winter, the McGarry, fastest accelerator in history.
Didn't know whether.
And Technicus, yeah? Skipper, first name on the team sheet. Come on!
We just put a video montages up about all night and be absolutely fine. So another thing that we probably didn't want to talk about, of course we wouldn't do it, but is basically how Matt seems to steal everyone else's ideas but play them off as his own. So I've got two stories here. One is about a tape measure, which some of you might have heard the story about. Back in June last year, of course we're all in the midst of the pandemic and we ought to be really mindful of social distancing. Matt was going to go meet Izzy for a walk and ask her to officially be his girlfriend, like Facebook official style, you know what I'm saying? So basically what happened was Alex, shout out over there, Matt's brother-in-law, okay, they had a conversation, right, and he suggested to Matt that he'd use a tape measure to mark out 2 meters, stick a post-it note on the end of it which said, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Right? Just like this, okay, yeah? The idea was that Matt would then extend the tape measure to 2 meters and Izzy would read the note and then see it and that question would be posed. And I remember everyone was so impressed with Matt's apparent creativity. And Matt fully embraced this and explained that he wanted to be clever, you know, with coding. And it wasn't until I heard Matt telling someone else that he came up with the idea and I had to step in and say, hey mate, that was actually Alex's idea. He claimed it for himself. Another story was, this happened when Jack and Alice were dating, so you got Jack and Alice is the lovely wife. Shout out. And basically what happened was, Jack and I were kind of talking, as we do, and he was sharing with me that he really wanted to make clear to Alice how much he loved seeing her. And what he was saying was, he wanted to make it clear how much he loved her. Okay, that was a big key thing. So seeing her would be what he said would be the highlight of his day. Those are the words he used. Jack and Matt clearly, in the midst of that, had obviously chatted about that, had a conversation. A few days later, I'm chatting to Matt. He tells me to say that he's going to tell Izzy how much he loves seeing her. Yeah, he's saying, I'd probably say that, you know, seeing you is going to obviously be the highlight of my day. I was like, hang on a minute. I had this conversation like 2 days later. Then he owns up to it, but he always fronts with, that's my idea, so watch out for those.
Another thing we didn't want to mention, we really didn't want to talk about it, but I think you probably just noticed from the first montage, is how much Matt loves being the centre of attention, right in front of a camera lens. So you can agree. If it means that Matt will get videoed doing something, he doesn't really mind making a fool of himself. But yet again, I won't talk about it. We've got a video instead. We can show you it. It's a good one.
Thank you for that interpretive dance as well. In today's break. Hello, my name is Joel. She says she wants a man that works on a building site. Since tonight.
How much are you going to bet tomorrow?
85, mate.
What are you going to do? What do you bet?
Thanks for that, Sam. This has been BBC News. Thank you very much for watching.
You might even notice it, to be fair, throughout that film footage, but obviously one thing we wouldn't have wanted to talk about clearly would be how Matt always has his top off. Literally any free moment. I even filmed him last night and his top was off again. I was like, what's wrong with this guy? Right, but there's even, I remember one time we were having, because it'd be appropriate or not, he'd have his top off. And we were having Connect Group, which is a small group in the church that meet up once a week. I'm sure there's some around here, you can give you a brochure. And bear in mind, right, this is 7:30 PM on a Wednesday night. We're at Jack's house, and the girls had just arrived. And Matt, seemingly oblivious, was just sat on the sofa with his shirt off. And I did tell him to put one on. I'm pretty sure Izzy was in the group, so it makes a bit more sense now.
Anyway, all jokes aside, and don't worry Matt, we've got no more videos, I promise. I really want to tell you how much you actually mean to me. And I love the brotherly relationship we have formed for the last few years. You've probably noticed this already, but I find that Matt has quite a puppy-like personality, a zest for life, and a seemingly laid-back approach. He loves to have a good laugh and a good time. And often, as he said tonight, oh, it's alright, just a laugh, isn't it? It's a good time, it's a good laugh. That's what we talked about a lot. But as I've got to know Matt, I hope most of you too, know that actually there's so much more to Matt than just that. I say he's loyal, he's caring, he's thoughtful, he's fun, he's generous, and he's wise. Matt and I were living together during the first lockdown. I loved having a lockdown buddy, because I lived on my own before that. I look back at many fond memories of us, and I think it was God's time that we both had someone to live with. We would literally do everything together because we couldn't do anything else. together, working rooms next to each other. We'd even train the gym together, jump in the hot tub, and if one of us was going to walk, the other one has to go because I was left alone. We're like two puppies, really. It was probably quite intense at times, but somehow it did work. We had so much fun hanging out, but it was also great to do real life together too. We watch church, we pray for one another, we support one another, and I think having this during the pandemic is something that I'll always be thankful for. Whilst COVID has of course been so challenging and difficult for many of us, I can honestly say that apart from dating my now wife, Alice, you were the highlight for me during lockdown. I thank you for being a loyal friend, always have my back, and I know I can always trust and rely on you. I also appreciate how thoughtful and wise you are. I found that you have quite a refreshing perspective on things, and the decisions you make are actually quite well considered, if you take a bit of time to process it. And when preparing for this, I was reminded of Nehemiah in the Bible, and when he faced challenging situations, he was able to master his feelings and take a considered approach. And this meant Nehemiah was able to have wisdom in this regard. And so I feel like God has given you this same wisdom. And I feel I promise to encourage you on this, not to forget it, to take your time to consider, because your advice is awesome, and we all need it, Matt. But of course, one of the great highlights was living with Matt by him and Izzy were dating. Their relationship started, and also I got to see a bit of their relationship blossom. Izzy, I have to say, I'll never forget when Matt came downstairs after he just asked you out during lockdown. Surprisingly, I'll get to that in a minute, hold on, sorry. I was in the kitchen cooking dinner. This was April, May last year, it might have been. I was in the kitchen cooking dinner right in the middle of COVID, and I heard him walk into the living room right by the kitchen. I opened the door, and I knew he had gone to ask Izzy out, and he was very nervous. He was so nervous that he decided to lay on the floor in the gym for 45 minutes to work out what he was doing. By the time Matt got downstairs to come and tell me, surprise, surprise, he'd already taken his top off. And I opened the door and asked him, how did it go? He simply lifted his arms, tensed his biceps, and said, she said yes! And we had nothing else to do but jump and celebrate together like we just won the World Cup. Izzy, he was so excited to start dating you, it was crazy. And I know he's so excited to be married to you too. Izzy, however, one thing for the future I would say is that Matt is of course great to live with, but he is very loud when he's on the phone. So much so that he does struggle to have one call without the whole house hearing every single element of the conversation. I must say I love being indirectly part of Matt's family Zoom calls and his work calls too. Matt, I'm so proud of you and how you have walked your journey, particularly with medical challenges over the last year, and even more proud of the last couple of days, what you've gone through and walked through. I can't say I know how you feel or have been through what you have, but I can honestly say that I've seen firsthand how well you have responded to every aspect of the journey. And Izzy, you deserve a massive shout out to, I want to mention, I'm so proud of you. I love how you have already lived out in sickness and in health before you were even married or engaged. You have been so supportive and caring of Matt and have been so strong too. What I love most is that you and Matt both rely on God in his strength during this time. I'm sure I speak for the whole room when I say that we'll be praying for more health than sickness in your future, and for you to continue relying on the goodness and faithfulness of God. Matt, you're a little brother to me, and Izzy, you're a little sister. I'm so excited we get to celebrate your wonderful marriage, and I'm excited too for your future as husband and wife. The Lord has led you this far, never fail you nor forsake you. Lean on him, serve one another in all you do, and will be the greatest adventure you ever have.
Before I end, I was trying to write in a freestyle way that Jack did, and it was just pretty trash, so I just went for a spoken word, which seems to be the only way I can talk these days. Sorry, but I've got that just to finish up really, so. Matt, this one's from your boy, Tommy T. Wedding day rhymes for you and Izzy G. I know my memories with you are so plenty, because you're a glass half full guy, never empty. It's absolutely mad, I've only known you a few years now, but it feels like a lifetime fits into that somehow. I think that's testament to your character and the bond we share, for your love, kindness, and because you always care. We've got a lot in common when it comes to swagger. Yeah, I'll probably start with them moves like Mick Jagger. A cool, calm, collected duo on the dance floor, crowd be screaming out because they want some more, or maybe that's just me thinking that, I'm not sure. Times with you are always characterised by joy, whether weights, rapping, dancing, or hanging out with the boys. You always make me smile, and for that I'm thankful to God. Even if some of the phrases you come out with are just plain old, mate. Your maturity for your age is something special. You've got a tenderness and a gentleness, even when life gets stressful. You care so selflessly for others and give so much, pouring out even when you don't get it back, because it's all up. We both love to act like gangsters, and deep down probably think we are, just a little. I don't think it's an issue, but it's hard to believe when you keep speaking with an accent like you're from Bristol. Some of my favourite memories with you are those writing and recording raps in my car. Mate, I'm still hanging on to hope that one day we'll go far. I mean, now you've got Izzy, maybe she can sing on a track? Hold that thought, we'll come back to that. When I think of you two, I think of life and I think of fun. You truly are a golden pair. Man, well done, son. Shout out to Dave and Mel for raising the treasure, and shout out to Kevin Joe. That boy's gonna bless her. You might be thinking about the wedding and how much married life could be costly, but you did marry the wife of your dreams. The only way is Essex? Nah, Otley. Future primary school teacher, she'll be sure to keep you in line, even if resolving arguments turns into circle time. I want to thank you, Mr. McGarry, my brother, brethren, and broski, a guy who has come alongside me so closely. And I want to thank you both for being you, and know that we're backing. But most of all, know that in God you're never lacking. When the times get tough, He remains your rock and He's stable. His strength will uphold you because He's always able. So it's all love that we're sending over your way, and here's to you both on your special wedding day. Please join me in raising your glass and toasting to the new Mr. and Mrs. McGarry.